Hey guys, I know it's been a minute. I was known as Kay the Bookworm, but now I am Kay Reads, and welcome back to my channel. Happy 2024. I will go into detail of why I took months off, but we're not here about it. So today I am back with a new season of Indie Arthur Spotlight, and I'm so blessed and honored to have this amazing writer. After doing my research about this writer, I realized that when you talk about Black indie romance, she is one of the writers that pops up automatically. I have two of my favorite books here, my babies, right here, that we will get into. And I met this writer actually on audio. Actually listening to The Mitchell Boys, which was set with Jacoby Diem and Wesley Siobhan. I have the amazing and great Alexandria House with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So, the first question that I ask everybody is how and why did you get started writing?
Um, the short answer would be poverty. I don't need it to make some money. The long answer would be I was a nurse and I was a good nurse, but I wasn't happy being a nurse. And I knew that there had to be more for me out there. I was never a person, even as a child, I never wanted to just work a 9 to 5. That just didn't excite me. And always want to leave some type of legacy. And so writing is something that comes naturally to me and easily, always has. And I just decided to finally give it a shot.
Okay, okay.
And of
So,
course, I was a reader. I was a reader long before I was a writer. So that's kind of how I got my training.
got you. So, I do have one question before we get into the books. What made you, when you think about Alexandria House, you automatically think of the pineapple? You thought of, and that's who I knew you as for years. It was like, oh, you're talking about Lady with Pineapple? Okay, yeah, I know her books. What made you want to automatically like now is the time to show my face?
Um, I just thought it was a good time. Initially, I was anonymous because I, in the past, wrote under a different name
Okay.
and a different genre, and I just wanted people to give me a chance in this genre. So, um, I just wanted to make a whole separate platform. So I did all that hard work and decided, I said, well, I'm going to show my face. I want the work to speak for me. And it did. And then when I felt the time was right, I was like, okay, I'm gonna let y'all see how pretty I am. So that's what I did.
Oh, so the first book that I want to bring up that I actually did read, I listened to, like I said, I'm a huge fan of your audio works.
Oh,
Jacoby
thank you.
Diem, Alexander, not Alexander, but because Jacoby Diem, you have Wesley Siobhan for the set, like majority of your books. You have
Mhm.
Alexandria Orjo, and I think I probably said that girl name wrong, and I
A dim
apologize.
delay.
Actually, yes, her. You have her for majority of your books too. What is it about them that make you like, well, if I do a book, I'm getting them back from like all my books?
They're the best. I want the best. I was an audiobook girly before I had audiobooks. So
Okay.
um, I was a home health nurse for a while, and instead of music, I would listen to audiobooks. So I kind of understood the dynamics of audiobooks and the fact that they are narrator driven. The narrator makes or breaks the book, no matter the content. You can have a great book and a horrible narrator, and it'll ruin the audiobook. So I knew that. And so when I was approached initially about the McLean brothers, um, I'm very clear on what my brand is, and I'm
Uh-huh.
very clear on how important representation is to me. So I made sure I had a say in who the narrator would be. And when they sent me the auditions, I said, "Oh, that's Big South right there." So, And I'm really glad to that chose him and the Dimmerley. They really and Wesley. I don't think I've had a bad narrator, but those especially know how to deliver a story, know how to bring emotion and uh, it's just a they really are acting out the story and not just reading it, which is important to me. I want it to be a totally different experience from you sitting down reading it yourself.
Very true. And I will say this now because I have you on record. Uh, Shoe and Let Me Free You are the most narrated books that I listen to from the start, and I listen to them like I'm like reading them for the first time.
Oh wow. Well, thank you.
So those are my two favorite ones, and I'm glad you
They're
brought
two of
up.
my
Yeah,
favorites.
those are my favorites, like automatically my favorites. And I'm glad you brought the segue to the McLean brothers because let's start. I
Mhm.
love Big South and Joe. I love the fact that even Joe was small, she played no shit. Joe was just like in the first scene when we meet her, and how she, how Big South Age comes off, and you're like, oh, you want to such and such like hoes, like nigga, no, I work here. Don't try to play me. And then you see, I think for me, I feel as if the reason why Big South was attracted to Joe in that aspect is because, yeah, I'm Big South, but at the same time, she didn't give a fuck who you were. You're not going to disrespect.
Yeah, 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 definitely. That's definitely what caught his eye for sure. Yeah, her fire,
Mm-hmm.
feistiness, yeah.
Love that. Hate it. Ella's mom, Esther.
Well, she has a big hate fan club, so you are not alone.
Hate her with the passion. But and I'm sorry, but and I know you probably seen my tweets when I was listening to Leland's book. I legit hated Kim.
Oh,
It was the back and forth for me. Like 1 minute, yeah, the next minute she was calling Ahmad, and then like she'll always make excuses for Ahmad. And I feel as if what Ahmad did to her was like her wake up call.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know how some mothers are with their sons, As the only child, it's her baby.
Yeah, but still, like he's a grown ass man, and you have no accountability for
No, she was still her baby to her.
him. No. I was just like, oh, Kim. I was like, you about to lose
And
this.
I'm sure, and there was some guilt involved too,
Oh
because
yeah,
of
of
how
course.
what
Yeah.
he grew up witnessing, and you
Yeah.
sometimes you overcompensate as a parent.
Yeah. But she definitely redeemed herself in personal.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Feel as if like when it came to personal, and I think she actually had a talk with Ahmad, and Ahmad really explained to her exactly what's going on and why
Hmm.
he did like why he did what she did. I think she actually like, damn, like I didn't realize me being in these constant abusive relationships was affecting my child in a way to where he seemed like, damn, if my mom's going through it, then I feel like I could put any woman through it too.
Hmm. And then she put him in a position where he thought he had to be the protector for her.
Yeah, very true.
And it just went over the top, he just didn't know when to stop.
Very true. And then we're gonna go into my baby. My baby.
Neil.
I've never loved a Hotep as much as I love this man.
Well, he's a different breed of hotel. That's why.
Hotep. Because I was just like, oh my gosh. So the main question I have for you when it comes to this book,
Hmm.
and I like rereading and listening to it again and rereading it, the
Yeah.
communication when it came to his ex-girlfriend.
Hmm.
Because when Sage looked her up, she said no kids, right?
Yeah.
And when they get to the expo, and that's when
Hmm.
and she tells her like, oh yeah, we have a child. Why in her head it didn't click that she previously chapters she did a background check on this girl and they said no kids.
Well, she was just vulnerable anyway. She been, we bring to our relationships what we've dealt with in the past.
Hmm.
So I'm sure she still had trust issues from, the other guys. And she just kind of went off of that. What she expects. Sometimes you have an expectation of how you're going to be treated.
Yeah.
The whole relationship, he spent the whole relationship trying to show her, okay, you're my wife. You're important to me. You don't have to do this. He had to keep telling her that. So obviously she was still dealing with some hurt from the past.
It was that, and then and I understood where Neil was coming from with like, not wanting it to be a big deal if it didn't have to be a big deal with the child. But at the same
Mhm.
time, if you're trying to build that trust and that loyalty with each other, I felt as if as soon as she brought up the child, he should have told Sage. Just
Yeah.
just so she wouldn't be blindsided when it came to
Yeah.
the expo.
Yeah. True.
So I felt like both of them were at fault about that. But other than
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. It was a
but regardless, I still
miscommunication
love
on
the
both
book.
sides.
Yeah. But regardless, I still love the book. But we're
That's
gonna go
good.
into them boys because I have questions. I have questions.
Okay.
With set, okay, the first question is, did they go like what was the reason for you to create such characters of broken men but at the same time love their women? Like so fiercely as they did.
I think I just wanted to do something that was different from the McLeans. McLeans got a lot of attention, um, overwhelming attention that I didn't know what to do with. And so it was just so unexpected. And I wanted to write about just a different set of brothers. And I did want to write something a little darker. Um, and that story just kind of just came to me. I can't claim credit for it. It's just they just come to me and
I
I just write them as they come to me. And so those brothers, they were largely inspired by a family in my hometown. Um, at the time when I was getting ready to write that book, my brother was in the hospital and I would go visit him and we would talk about stuff like that, like this family that he was 10 years older than me. So his generation was scared of that family. My generation was scared of that family. And
Mhm.
then my children went to school with some of the same family and they were scared of them. They were just known for fighting and they were just menacing. And so we were talking about that and I said, I think I'm gonna write about something similar to that. Some, fighters and bullies. And that's what I came up with. And understanding that there's always a backstory for everybody and a reason for everything.
Very true. Very, very.
Mhm.
And with Shu, I felt like Shu definitely, even though he didn't get the worst I said in jail, but I feel like with him being the middle child, I felt like he witnessed a lot more than him
Yeah.
that it didn't like it messed with his mental, but not as bad as John said did.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of times the middle child kind of gets left out or forgotten.
Yeah,
And so, and two, his father was kind of freaked out by those eyes. So he wasn't messing with him like he was the other two.
exactly. And then also with Denver, my heart breaks for her because I've never been in a situation like that, but I did have a high school friend who was in a situation where she was in where, the mom's husband was like abusing her and the mom saw it, but she didn't care because she just had the man. And it sickens me that there are like women out there who would care more about having a man than worrying about their child.
Dang. Yeah, that really bothers me. And it's really rampant in a lot of ways. If and I do think partially it's because as a society, especially in the Black community, we're taught to center men,
Mm-hmm.
and which it can have some really detrimental effects if your center is always the man and you're willing to put them before your children. So I think it's a big cultural thing, and not just in the Black community. I mean, you hear of every race of woman doing things like this. But yeah.
So my main question though, what okay, because sorry people, I'm getting very tongue tied right now because I'm passionate about this book. If you have not read this book, spoiler alert, but it's been out for a couple of years, so you should read it. Towards the end of the book, we have Seth getting the call that his mom died. What made you want to kill the mom off? and not the dad?
Because I think it would have been expected that the dad would be the one to go. I try to think ahead of the reader, and
Hmm.
so, um, and I thought that there would be a little more impactful for it to be the mother to go, which would then leave the responsibility of the father to the boys
Mm-hmm.
and create a new dilemma for them. So, honestly, I draw a lot of things from real life, and I've seen instances like that where one so one spouse is down or they're older or you're expecting them to go and the one that's been taking care of them, worn themselves out, taking care of them is the one that goes first. So yeah, but I thought it was a good moment for them. They would have to face him
Mm-hmm.
and have to decide what they were going to do about him. And it's just real life.
Cool. And I know you have your mixtapes where you give like mini updates about each part of your character, each characters in your books. But
Mhm.
I don't know if you've been heard asked this many times, but if you have, I'm gonna ask you again. Are we getting are we ever gonna get like an update with them boys? Because I will love to see an update on Shu's daughter like you did with Ella.
Well, I did do like a mini update in that omnibus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have the Mitchell Brothers omnibus, and there's a uh, epilogue, bonus epilogue. And so it's the three books in one book, and then there's a bonus epilogue. And so it gives you a bit of an update about all three. So that would be good for people if you want an update. I put it up for sale periodically, so you just have to keep your eyes open.
Yes, I will next time. I will definitely do that next time. But it's like
Yeah,
I was like,
and
why
it
are
does
you
have
getting an
photos
update?
of the brothers in it, and but yeah, it has that bonus epilogue is what a lot of reason why a lot of people want it. And it sells out really quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, um, you never know. You never know where, people make cameos. You never know if they may pop up again. We'll have to see.
Well, I'm gonna put it out there that Kay Reed was the first to ask if you could do that. Just gonna say that out there. And I'm gonna go back to the acclaimed and with the spinoff with Ella. What made you want to do a spinoff with Ella first? And second, what made you want to put her with Ahmad?
Because I thought that would be hot. I just thought it would
It
be
was
hot.
hot now. I'm not gonna lie. I was like,
I
whoo.
knew, I knew it would. I knew it would be explosive to put those two together, to those two families, knowing who how protective her father and uncles are. But I wanted to show her as an adult, as a girl that grew up in the spotlight, and that she was not going to be just your regular 23-year-old. She traveled the world. She was a model. Her mother was a freak, so she grew up seeing and knowing a lot, and I just wanted to give her a story, and I wanted to give Armand some type of redemption.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, when that parent popped into my head, I said, "Ah, yeah, this is it's the one. I'm about to do this." So, and
like,
I'm very pleased with how it
oh, I
turned
am
out.
too. Because listening to it with Wesley, and then you had Jacoby in the
Oh,
scene,
they put it down.
they killed it.
Oh my gosh.
Every sex scene, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I thought,
Listen, the first time I listened to it, I was sitting there with my mouth hung open like I didn't write it. I was like, what is this? I said, wait a minute, where I'm calling other authors. Girl, listen.
I was like listening to it, and then like the scene where like the first scene where like she puts the her vagina in his face and she bends down and she gets back. I felt like I was a fly on the wall. I felt like
I
I was
had,
watching a porno flick. I was just like,
listen,
mm.
I had so much fun writing that book. Oh, wow. I loved it. I loved the research. And I loved
I did.
that was so much fun.
And I was just like, if Alexandria can write a book like this, then like, because I thought, granted, I'm not the most erotic. I wouldn't even call myself an erotic writer, but I do
Yeah.
have a book called Sweet and Sour that, kind of gives off a little spice. But
Yeah.
listening to this book, I was just like, girl, I'm not even in the ballpark. Like I'm upper rafters looking down when it comes
Man,
to stuff like this. 'Cause I was like, oh my gosh.
listen. When I finished that, was one of them times, and I said, "Girl, you did that right there. That was
Period.
done by me."
Period. And you did, Queen. And you did. You did. Period. I was like, whew. But we're going to go ahead and get into your newest series, which is
Hmm.
the St. Louis Science series. So, what made you want to write a book about hockey? Because was like very, very uncommon for a Black writer to write about hockey, which is a predominantly white sport, and
Yeah.
have the hockey players majority Black.
Well, if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be black. That's just me.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and I was talking to an author friend, and she said, "Well, you're gonna have to have some white people in this one because I usually don't.
yeah.
You're gonna have some white people in this one because it's hockey." I said, "Girl, no, no, this is my world. It's gonna be a hockey.
Come
It's gonna
on
be a
now.
black hockey
Come
team.
on,
That's
universe.
how I do things." She's like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah. I mean, there are some, and it just ain't the whole team out there."
Hello.
But because I feel like it was an underrepresented sport in Black romance, and I know hockey is like really popular, and I said, well, I want to get a Black girlies some hockey, and so I did my research and watched hockey games, and for the first time in my life, and tried to learn all that I could, and the stories just came to me, and I did it. I felt like it would be. I feel like it may be a big deal because I didn't know anyone who had written a whole series with Black hockey players and Black women. I know there's some that have interracial hockey players, romance, but so yeah, I made my Black hockey team, and I feel like I did that too.
You
I
did.
just
You really did. I listened to the recent one holding not too long ago, and the way that you portrayed the mental illness, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it this time, but the way you portrayed the mental illness in the character, phenomenal.
Mhm. Thank you, thank you.
Phenomenal job. Because like reading it, and I love how, and I really don't even like um back, like like flashbacks, flash forward type of books, but it was
Hmm.
something about how you wrote it and how
Yeah,
the narrator, excuse me, portrayed it was
yeah.
like, okay, it's a reason why you did this to understand the relationship of these characters.
Yeah, yeah. I felt like I had to do that, and I told I did an interview before the book came out. I explained. I said, okay, they have a past. I'm gonna have to play with the timeline, and I play with timelines because I don't want to get bored. And if I just did it from beginning to end linearly, I would get bored.
Yeah.
So I do write to entertain myself as well and to challenge myself. So that's why I like to play with the timelines, and I like to give you the past and then correlate the present with it as the story goes on. So it's not an easy thing to do by any stretch of the imagination, but it is something that like I said, I just like to challenge myself, and I like to tell the story that way, other than just give you, okay, he was born and she was born and then this happened and this happened, and it takes you 30 chapters to get to anything exciting. So
Okay. Cool. And I am on your street team, and I got the email with the cover of the third book that's coming.
yay!
OMG, I'm excited. Because if I thought the iguana was like, bad materials, what I saw on that cover, I'm like, I was like, as a pet, like,
Well, you go have to see what's going on with it.
and by the time, guys, by the time this comes out, you have to believe by that time the cover will already be out for the third book. So
Yeah.
when you see it, the pet, you understand why. You understand why I said what I said, like in that way. I looked at it, I said, ooh, I said, okay, represent like a different representation for one.
Yeah,
I'm loving the character because I loved him in Holding Gold in Holding because I thought he was like the comic relief.
yeah.
And then now I'm like, but the pet though.
You'll see that your pet has a purpose.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, there's a I don't waste anything.
Okay.
So, so the pet has a purpose, but
Mm.
um, I'm reading through doing my like last read through because I
Mhm.
want to do. My goal is to do a simultaneous release this time. I really, 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 really want to do that. So, I have to get it to the narrators next week.
Oh,
So,
cool.
doing my final read through before getting it to them, and then formatting and all that stuff to have it ready for release. So, listen. I know I've been bragging on myself the whole interview. But I feel like I was on my Zoom with this one. Listen, I did a little something with, with this book.
Well, I'm excited and I cannot wait to hear it because I already know Alexandria. I was like, oh, it's out. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Let me pause when I'm listening to. And I wasn't even an audiobook girly. Never used to like audiobooks because I already had like when I was reading, I already had
Yeah,
how I like heard the characters in my head.
yeah,
But
yeah,
once I got on set, I was just like it was like
yeah.
a whole new world. So I thank you for even introducing me into the world of audio.
You are so welcome. I'm thrilled to that people are enjoying the audio versions. Audio is very near and dear to my heart too because as a nurse, I had one client who I went to her house and she had like wall to wall these tapes.
Mhm.
And I asked her, I said, what are those? She said, oh, books, because she was legally blind. So she had books on actual cassette tape.
Oh
And
wow.
that's how she consumed books. And it never even occurred to her. I just liked listening to them. I didn't realize or think about the fact that that's how some people have to consume books. So I'm always happy when people latch onto the audio and enjoy it. Any version, honestly, but I
Yeah.
do audio is my favorite too. So
And because of you and because of Leslie and Emmanuel doing their when they used to do the Instagram lives of like reading books from like different people, I got a chance to interview her Instagram live, Emmanuel, Benjamin Charles, Zakia, and Winston James on my YouTube channel a couple
wow,
of years.
that's cool.
So I was like very I was like, if it was for Alexandra, I don't even know the side of the world.
Yeah, like I'm a fan of the narrators. I was lucky enough to get to meet a bunch of them last year at the Audis.
Oh, that's dope.
So yeah, I met Jacoby in the flesh and Wesley and the dim relay, Carrie Height, just a bunch of them.
Uh,
It was a nice time. It's nice to meet them. I was really fangirling.
As you should have. So before we get out of here, I got two more questions. The first question is another question that I ask all my writers. For someone who wants to write,
hmm
what would you ask? Like what was like what is the advice that you would give them?
I would tell them to get out of their head and don't be concerned about the final product. Just write. Just sit down and write. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be in order. Um, you can always go back. You're gonna have to go back and read and tweak and read over it and maybe rearrange some paragraphs. You're gonna have to get an editor to, even if you have to get a developmental editor to help you with that. Just write. Um, I would tell them that there's an audience for every book. Um, there's an audience for every author. Trust your unique voice. Don't try to sound like any other author. There's enough stories out here for all of us. And enough readers, especially romance. There's no way one author can keep these romance readers fed. They are ravenous. So and read above all. Please read. Read before you ever pick up a laptop or a pen or however you're going to write it. Please read so that you can understand the structure of books, how they should look, how they should sound, and trust, like I said, trust your voice. You doesn't have to be with it. So I don't write flowery romance. The men are not reciting poetry. That just is not my thing. And it's okay, and it's okay if it is someone else's thing. Just be okay with your lane, do what you do the way you do it, and trust that you'll find an audience that will appreciate it.
Okay, all right. I love that answer. And I meant to ask you this, but I'm running out of time real quick. So, homecoming.
Yes.
I'm going to say that now. Whenever you have it again, within like every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, I don't care. So, Donna Rose, hello me. I will be on that roster. One way,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
saying that now. I'm going to be on the roster. What made you want to do a homecoming to where you have the band, you have the jackets, you have it's like a legit HBCU homecoming? Because I know you went to an HBCU and you are
Yeah.
great. You are a
Yeah.
member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I'm a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. So,
Okay. Okay, Dina. Okay.
so what made you want to do that?
Number one, my absolute love for HBCU culture. I love my alma mater. I love the whole, just everything about it. I'm second generation graduate. My parents graduated from the same school, and two of my children graduated from the same college.
Cool.
So it's a serious thing in our family. And I grew up in an HBCU town too, so it was just a big deal. And I wanted people who may not have ever experienced it to experience it at some level. So that was why we wanted to do the jackets and the drum line and all that stuff. Plus, I'm extra. I'm just extra. I just am. If I'm gonna do something, it's gonna be over the top.
And I
It's
love
gonna
it.
be it's gonna be ridiculously over the top. That's just me. I can't help it. I've tried. So that was part of it. And I just wanted to create an event that was like no other um literary event. I wanted something different. I'm not a person that's big into panels and stuff like that. I just wanted to have parties and have fun. So that's what we did. We had a big homecoming weekend and we had a good time and some good food and the next one will be in 2025, and I believe it will be centered around the cyclones. And
Oh,
so,
no.
so we're gonna have some fun with that.
Oh, that
So
sounds
I'm excited. We're thinking about DC for this one.
Chocolate City. It makes sense.
So yes,
It
yes,
makes perfect sense. Okay.
yes. So,
And before we get out of here, what does Black romance mean to you?
oh, well, on a tangible level, it means that my bills are paid. It means my lights are on. But it means everything to me. It's beautiful. It's the reason I exist because I have two Black parents. It's the reason my children exist. And I think it's radical. I think in a world where a lot of people don't even see us as human, for us to even want to be in love
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing. So I love it. I feel like readers are just at their this is like a renaissance for Black romance readers. I mean, there's so many books to read, so many really great authors, and this is just a great time to love that genre. And Black love is real. It's real. It's not just a fantasy. I've seen it. I've lived it. It's beautiful.
Well,
And every woman, that's what my writing, the whole purpose is for every Black woman to see herself in the stories and know that she deserves that kind of love.
oh, I'm not settling for shit. If
Yes.
my man can be a Neo or a shoe,
Okay.
bye.
If
I
he
don't
can't,
need
if
you.
he can't be Hotep or lethal,
Come
you
on
don't
now. Come on.
want.
Come on. Oh, come on. Well, Miss House, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you. I had a great time. I hope you had a
Me
great time.
too. And you're
So,
so welcome.
thank you so much. Guys, once again, this will be out soon. And leave in the comments once you see that cover. Come back to this video and let me know what you think about Pet. Or leave However, I just want to know. But I'm Kay Reeves. This is Miss Alexandria House. And until next time, read what you love and write what you want to read. Bye.
Thank you.
Can't focus on